Hey everyone, welcome again. Thank you for tuning in. You know what it is. It's the Iconist podcast. Once again, I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D, Deep, Dark, Delicious. You know it. You can find the link, barry3d.com. You should know it by now. And if you don't, you're welcome. And on my side, as always, my co-host, the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, the one that spins the tables, the one that makes the wobbles and weebles and shakes the room, blows out your bass, right? When you blow out your back on the dance floor.
Ouch.
Like a heart attack.
Floor, yeah.
My co-host, my cousin, my compadre, the one and only
DJ Rod C. Yo, what's up, people? Welcome to another episode. Welcome to another episode. All right. Okay, we're gonna have some good fun today.
Woo!
What are we talking about? What are we going? Listen. What are we talking about?
Man, we go break it down like this. At Iconist, the icon is the shadow. Right? And before we dive a little bit further into this time we're going to keep it short and sweet with our round table. So here it is, right? Support your comic book stores. So meaning by that, if you're in Montreal, check out Check Swing Comics, Barry, can't speak no more. If you're out here in Ontario, make the drive out, or if you're in the area, go to Kitchener and look at Wow Comics. Both of those are linked down in past videos we have. You'll see me doing a walkthrough in those stores. You're looking for some music for that drive? Check out our boy Wayne Tennant with his album on Spotify, Curfew Vapors. My track we know is Vapors. Sorry, Curfew Flowers is the album. The track is Vapors. Wow, it's a mumble mouth today. Right on. And friends of the show, Paul Ash, Balacom, they talk funny, right? The check-in, and of course his own stand-up. So look for Paul Ash. You've seen him on the show when we did Grimjack. Other shows that I've been on and shout out friends of the show is Back to the Balcony with Jimmy English. Sorry, Jimmy England. Back to the Balcony. Look for the microphone on the red background. And last but not least, because we are touring around again, my boys from A Touch of Gray Matter, or A Touch of Gray Comedy. Man, I'm really mumble mouth today. Touch of Gray Comedy. We go by Touch of Gray Matter here on YouTube. If you're on the YouTube page, you can just go down and see the other channel. It's there. And that is myself, Barry 3D, with Thomas Patrice, Zulf Ali, and the one and only Dave Sokolowski. And last but not least, the man who makes us look so pretty, the one and only Jason Reese,
AKA J Bird Digital Art.
J Bird Digital Arts. Thank you. You need anything from templates to media to banners to posters, press kits, the whole kit and boodle. Hit him up. Tell him we said hi. We say manners maketh the man. We said it before. We'll say it again. Right? And Jay will hook you up. That's for sure. And before we move on, Rod, where can we find you?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on the internet somewhere hiding out in a... No, I'm somewhere out there. Look, listen, you can definitely find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. Or you can definitely find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. I like to keep the words together, cost less. I just changed 2 letters in the front. I'm thinking ahead, people. That's where you can find me. I'm all over the place. Find me out, reach out, have some fun, say hi. If I'm on Twitch, come through, see me play, have some fun. We'll play a whole genre of different type of music, open format, basically. Saturday Love. I'll even say the last time I was playing, I'm about to go. I'm like, I want to mix it. I did it online. I'm like, people probably, what is this guy doing? I'm like, I'm here fighting just to open up my phone. I'm like, God, wrong. Too many times. Damn. Then I played, and I just said, yeah, shout out to you, Skit. Sorry, cuz. Try to call you. People are like, what? Yeah, it's my cousin's favorite song. I was trying to call him. That's why I was on the phone, being distracted people.
My bad.
But it's all good. You don't know when I'm going to play it. But when I played it, I'm just letting you know. So that's about it. But you know what? Having fun. Come through, say hi, let me know. Hey, I heard you on Iconist. Yeah. Shout you out and we'll go from there. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a good day today.
Gonna have a funky good time. We're going to have a funky good time. And we're going to take it high. Yeah. I know I can't sing. That's why I dance. So we are going to talk about the shadow. And I said, if you need to find me, simple, Barry3D.com. Right? Got it? All right, good. So we are talking about the shadow. For those of us watching the video, you'll see that I actually have a copy of the 1994 movie with Alec Baldwin.
Nice.
Yes, I actually bought this because back in 1994, this is about as good as superheroes are going to get around that time. We didn't have the blessing of Marvel movies and DC movies, live action, how they are now. So you had to take it as you take it.
Take it and run. Be like the IKEA woman at the door. Start the engine! Start the engine! Start the car!
And this, for real, and this character was back from, okay, this is early. We're going like Pulp Fiction. When you hear to say, now, not Pulp Fiction, a movie with John Travolta doing the twist, and then he had to put the needle in Uma Thurman. No. And keep your minds clean. That's not what I meant by the needle. Okay, good. So this character was introduced back in the day. And I know if you're younger, even our age, we had to go, whoa. This character was introduced back on July 31st. Not bad. 1930.
Say that number again. What was that?
1930.
That's an even number. That's a
long
even
time. Number, right? History. History. That's all I need to say. This character back from 1930, July 31st, 1930, made his appearance on radio. Wow, radio, you ask, Barry? Radio. Suckers never play me. I'm in the mix. Sorry. Okay. I've had a whole old school hip hop thing going on. Right. LL Cool J. Hard as hell. Cut creator. Oh, sorry. Okay. Back. So, all right. I was going to say, so yes, radio. Suckers never play me. All right. Okay. So I had to get it out of my system. You know, I'm not going to go through the whole G.I. Joe theme song again or Galaxy Rangers like we just did. I'm fighting it.
Hold on.
Hold up. Rewind. Bring it back. Rewind. Okay, I'm good. So in 1930, this came on the radio. And why we say radio? Because at the times in normal households back then, they didn't have televisions because television wasn't really around. And I'm not trying to make this as an old man joke. It was, and anyone that had a television, televisions were uber expensive. Only the rich had a television. Regular everyday families had radio. So they would sit down in their living rooms around the radio and listen to programs like serialized programs. And they were done with voice actors, actors, but I mean, obviously you had to say they're voice actors because they weren't seen on TV. Correct. They were maybe Broadway actors, live play actors, but they would get that gig on the radio and they would read out the scripts and be multiple, and they would do more than one voice. They would have a guy who would do sound effects using whatever was around in the studio. So, you know, he would have trash can lids and he would have like shoes that he would actually put on his hand on a piece of wood to do the walking noise and the whole the door. All those sound effects were done by people within the studio. That was his job. He went to work every day and he looked at the script and said, okay, it's raining, wind, door opens, person's walking, woman walking. Gotcha. Okay, another door open, car starting. Okay, gotcha. And he had to make all these sound effects. So this is going back to where everything had to be really in mind because you had your narrator, you had your characters, and you had the sound effects person on set. That was it. Right. So this is why you got to love cartoons because, you know, if they were around now, and saw how voice work was done compared to how they had to do it. And keep in mind, things are like, okay, start, cut. Back then, it was done live in studio.
One shot.
You practice your script over and over and over again. You get there in front of the microphone and it's go. Action. One shot. So if you fumble on the script, you had to keep going. Wow. The discipline, which, and I'm not making a joke about that, but the discipline to have all that on point with maybe 4 or 5 people. So this is where this character came from. So originally, when I say 1931, the character even came a little before that. So The Shadow was a collection of serialized dramas, originally in 1930 pulp novels, and later in a variety of media. And then the character was, you know, featured on a radio show, and he started off not so much even as the Shadow. He was the Shadow, but he didn't have a backstory. He was just more the narrator for this detective story that they had going on the drama. I'll try to find the name here. You know, but yeah, I had a lot of notes on this. So the show, originally created by mysterious radio show narrator, was developed into a distinctive literal character in 1931, written by Walter B. Gibson. And when he started off, it was just really a narrator for this detective show serial. He didn't know who he was. He was mysterious. And then they kind of gave him a backstory, fleshed him out, so to speak. And that's the origin of this character. And before we get into a little bit more details, this show was influenced by a lot for characters up to today. I mean, first of all, the Shadow is still around in some form of media up to today, right? As in comic books. So you had the Shadow, you had the Son of the Shadow. It still went on. It was acquired by different companies, but it ended up with DC Comics at one point. And then I think it went to Dynamite, where Dynamite had it or has it. So I don't know who has it right now. Forgive me. But this character was a favorite. One of the person that liked the show a lot was Bob Kane.
Bob Kane, you ask? Who's that? The name sounds familiar. Is it the maker, the creator of the Batman?
Why, yes, it is, Rod. Why, yes, it is. He would be the creator, and we'd be real. He was one of the creators because it was Bob Kane and Bob Finger.
Yes.
No. Right. So, but Bob Kane was influenced with the Shadow. And when we explain some things, you'll see and go, oh,
I see something there. I see a similarity there.
Right. And we'll come back to that. So pretty much the character himself was originally, and he's got to keep 1930. Think of what was happening in 1930, how times were like. So this is before the Great Depression, all that stuff. The character was first introduced as his alter ego as Kent Allard. That's how he came into print, right? He first came in as Kent Allard. He was a fighter pilot. He got shot down overseas. He was rescued. He kind of ended up in a, let's just say, lack of a better word, a monastery, a monk, and he was trained how to use his mind, his body, right? So he learned how to fight. So pretty much, let's say he was a fighter pilot. So that means he was American fighter pilot. So he was a marksman. He has your regular military skills.
Right.
As an, let's say he's flying an airplane, he's got to be in the Air Force. So he's got that. He's got his pilot's license. He knows how to do all that. Oh, okay. This character's got some beef to him. Usually you just got characters can do that stuff alone and they're good. Then let's take it even further. He gets shot down, gets rescued. He gets saved, he gets trained, and he gets trained in a lot of different things. So he gets trained in how to fight. Now he's gone from basic Air Force training. I don't want to say basic, but Air Force training in hand-to-hand combat, marksmanship, to learn like martial arts and other fighting styles. And then he gets the Asian mysticism with it too. So one of the things he learns is how to pretty much almost be a ninja. He blends into the Shadow. He has a power where he can turn around and look at people, and it's almost like he's forcing someone to do something. Yeah. These are not the droids you're looking for, but right. Mind tricks, pre-Star Wars. Let that sink in for a while, you guys. Let that sink in for a while if you hardcore fans. So pre-Star Wars, give you an example of his power. He would turn around, be in a room. People would think they see. They know when you're in a room sometimes, and you're minding your business, and you see something out of the corner of your eye, and you look and it's not there. That was the Shadow. Like you sense something there, but you don't see it. He could be in a room full of people, and just him making eye contact, he would almost kind of hypnotize you that you wouldn't think he's there.
Again, there's so much similarities. When you hear this, everyone, I hope you can see the similarity between the Shadow and Batman in that same kind of way. Batman, you have people have conversation with him, and all of a sudden, he's out the room like a Shadow. They didn't even know he even left the room. Just Lightfoot, Silent Ninja, the Gray Ghost, the Shadow. We'll come back to Gray Ghost in a couple of seconds, shortly after this. Right. These commercial breaks. But yes. But this is basically what he was. He was basically had that type of influence and just gave people just he was able to make himself what was it? Made me just think of, like The Hobbit. The Hobbit was saying they had that particular skill of being unnoticeable.
Right.
And just,
yes.
So he had that same type of power.
All
All
right.
right. Sorry,
Good call.
as you were saying.
Good call, right? So he came back, and then he realized, while in the Orient, that he had to go back home. He knew there was a lot of corruption going on, and he wanted to be on a righteous path to kind of clear some of that up. So he came back with the skills that he had, and he got in there to start bringing down, gangsters and corrupt people. And he had this cool catchphrase that still stands up to now. And it's on my box here, and I'll read it out. So it says, the shadow. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow does, right? I was like, he knows the evil lurks. What? What? So he went, and now, of course, a couple of times it got retconned. So this is why he's got multiple different names. So when he was in the army, he was really Kent Allard. When he came back, he took up a different identity because the Kent Allard identity was done. So he took on the identity of Lamont Cranston.
Right.
And he came back as a, millionaire, playboy, familiar. Living, always dressed in a fine suit, living in a nice house, driving nice cars.
Have you heard that before? Where have you heard that one before? But I don't know. Please continue.
No problem. Now, here's some of the difference. He came back as Kent Allard. He took up the identity as Lamont Cranston, right? And was kind of using his identity. And then Lamont, there was a story where the real Lamont Cranston showed up, and he dealt with that, got rid of Lamont Cranston, and then fully took on his persona. So he stole his identity and then made sure, because Lamont Cranston wasn't that great of a person, and then really stole his identity and started working on putting things right. So, playboy, millionaire guy. So we see the influence where Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne, right? He's had other names going on since then, but Lamont Cranston is the one that people know him as. He had the name also as Henry Amond, Isaac Twimbly, Fritz the janitor. He's got multiple things, and we'll come back to some of these things. So that's how he would go about. When he would go as the Shadow at night, he would dress in a black suit, a black hat. What did it say? It was like a fedora. I'm not sure what hat it is.
Yeah, fedora.
Fedora. Okay, so he'd had one of those. He would have a black cloak on, 2 guns, right, around his rib cage area, on either side, so you can just plumb up from underneath his armpits, and they would be underneath there. And then he would have a red scarf, and that scarf would be over his mouth with just his nose showing, and then his nose cover his mouth, and it would just go and just up to his eyes. So pretty much you would just see his eyes and his nose, big cloak, black suit, and he would go around with his powers. And I'm looking to some of this. You'll see that he was expert detective, skilled marksman and hand-to-hand combatant, master of disguise and stealth.
I've heard that one before too.
Yep. He had the ability to make himself nearly invisible to others. Hypnotic, telepathic, mental clouding abilities, altering and reading a person's thoughts and perceptions, and low-key telekinesis. All right, ninja, Jedi, right? Not saying this, but that's how the character was. So when people tried to shoot at him, when he would get into a fight and people would pull out their guns, this is where the hypnosis would come in. He would automatically start doing this. So when people would shoot at him, they would constantly miss him by, I don't want to say like 2 or 3 feet. They would miss him by a few inches all the time, because he would use this power to cloud their perception. So if you think he's standing dead center, no, he's about maybe 3 inches, 4 inches to the left or to the right of where you're looking. So you never really get a good beat on him.
Where is he, Bobby? Where is he?
Well, he's right there. I shot him. It went through him. How'd I miss?
Bobby.
So this is the interesting about it. So this is where a lot of Batman influence came up. So, and when it goes back to Batman for half a second, we know, okay, he's got the similarities as Bruce Wayne. He's got the whole going for justice. He's got that he's been trained by others outside of North America. He's got that background. And then he's put on the costume, carries on a certain way. And then, so Bob Kane was a fan of the Shadow. In the original comic books, all the time, they always said that Batman was a fan. Bruce Wayne was a fan of Zorro. Very similar. But in the animated series, to kind of give it a proper loop around, they took out the Zorro aspect and said Bruce, growing up as a kid, his favorite hero was the Great Ghost, which is pretty much the Shadow. One black, one in gray. All right, then.
Let's go.
This is the character, right? You gotta, and he's gone on. So he's gone from different things back and forth. So it was, Street and Smith's monthly detective story magazine. This is where the kind of character came to life in the magazine, and they had to kind of give him a backstory, put all this stuff together. He always had ominous music when he was around. He had a certain laugh. So this laugh would kind of pierce your ears, kind of like, oh my gosh, so it was like the Joker laugh. I would say more the Creeper laugh, not even so much the Joker. Let's go with the Creeper.
Even the Creeper. Yeah,
the Creeper's laugh is what would give you that unnerved feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That there is the Shadow. And he's been around since all that time. Now, I know this might seem like a short one, but with everything that we've said here with this character, his origin, I think he's still come around. Like, what's your thoughts, Rod?
Listen, he's a great character because he can easily be shown right now. Now, in the DC lore, there already is someone he's more talkative, but the question. Mm-hmm. So if we wanted to have some kind of parallel, you see the question is there, and we're already loving and accepting the question. So if we are okay with the question, we could definitely be good to accept the Shadow. The Shadow, basically, we understand the lore of the playboy type of philanthropist, the detective, the genius who knows how to market and network to get information off the street. Because exactly, Barry might have said that in those days, his only way of networking to get information of criminal activities is to basically have that type of connection. So the same way we would see Batman go into a particular room and everybody's scared of him type of scenario. But again, you will say, hey, Rod, all criminals do that. I mean, all heroes do that to the criminal empire. They'll go into a room. They'll be scared. Yes. Back in the days, there was no phone. There was no Siri. There was no Alexa. Like, there's no way to say, Alexa, where's the Joker right now? The Joker right now is... No, we had no way of doing that.
None.
Shadow had to go down to the street and then basically be, one of his many disguises and get that type of information. This is what he did. So I can see that being still updated, give it a little modern touch and everything along that line. But I could definitely see that character have the influence. Once it's written properly, it could definitely get some traction and be able to be, viewed and likable from today's clientele, today's people. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the other things interesting about the Shadow. Where Batman, a lot of times people think Batman is a loner. He's not really a loner. Batman has a lot of sidekicks. He just has one predominant sidekick at the time, which is Robin. Someone's in that Robin costume. He's got Alfred. And then if you really look at the Batman mythos, you see that he's got other people that help him out. Now, the Shadow made it very clear that he's had other people to help him out. So he starts off solo, but he builds up a network. What I thought was really interesting as a character. So not side, he really builds up this network of other people to help him out. So he's got many people in different roles. So, he's got one guy named Harry Vincent, and this guy was trying to commit suicide in the very first Shadow story, and the Shadow saves him. And then, Vincent comes back as a regular character, and he's one of his most trusted agents getting, information. So, he's got Harry. He's got another guy named Mo, Margot Lane, which is almost like a love interest, and she's a socialite. So, right? And it goes on Clyde Baker. So he's got, like, for example, in his network, he's got people that drive the plane, right? The Shadow. He's got people that he's got a person that will drive the car and drives him all over, right? And that would really be Harry. So Harry was his Alfred, so to speak. But as opposed to Shadow driving around, Harry would drive him around, pick him up from different places, always have his car ready to go. He would have a guy driving a taxi cab. He would have another person that would be a pilot, even though he can fly himself because he's doing something else. He would have a person that was a doctor. You would have a person that was an accountant. You would have a person that was a young guy in the street. So it just,
it goes on. Listen, here's a good parody as well, in the sense, like, another character that we can even talk about similar in that type of time frame is the Green Hornet.
Yes.
The Green Hornet was always the leader per se, and he had Kato, his sidekick partner. Kato was always the one driving. In that type of days and lore, it was more predominant to have, if you're a leading man coming out, like Clark Gable coming out of he's been driven around. So that's basically why you would say, why can't he drive himself? Well, he can drive himself. He knows how to put the car in gear. But
yeah,
I'm of that particular stage. I have to give the allure of, like, listen, I don't even drive because I'm that dangerous.
Right. But the network would also find information. As your point earlier, right? There was no Alexa, there was no computers. So he had to have people on the streets with their ears to the ground in different ways to help connect dots for him to help solve crimes, find who's doing wrong and solve it. As I said, he had Dr. Rupert, who was his personal physician. He had Jericho Dirk, right? A large, immensely strong black man. Oh yeah. Brother, keep it real, right? He had a person, Slade Farrell, and he works with the Shadow to rehabilitate criminals. Miles, he sometimes pilots the Shadow's, plane. Another agent of the Shadow, he was sure to be killed in another book, but he had, a stockbroker, reformed. He had another guy, Hawkeye. So he had a person named Hawkeye, a reformed underworld snoop who tails gangsters and other criminals. Dr. Roy. So he had easily about 9-10 people working for him in various roles to build up this network across the city to keep him abreast of anything going on. Now, this is where I say it's smart. You see, Batman's got the Bat computer. Batman's out every night doing. No, he's got people working on it, bringing back the information. Say, here, do what you need to do, and he's off to pursue him, end him, case closed. And as a vigilante, I mean, he's out there with two guns blazing. So, yeah, there's a lot of shootouts. Now, I say this is something I would like to still see now. I mean, it was, I said, with DC, it went to different, so it started off as a radio drama, then it got a magazine, there was novels, then there was comic books. I would still like to see, serialized comic strips come back now as a live property. And I've got two schools of thought on this. So we know even up to 1994, the Shadow, a young Alec Baldwin. And I said, cool. Got the DVD here. And I always enjoyed, it might not have been the greatest movie, but I enjoyed what they tried to do with it. How they for the time.
The time. It was good for the time, man.
You just can't be overly criticizing every movie. Every movie's crap. No, you got to watch, and sometimes you might not be in the movie, but you have to understand their direction and enjoy that, be on that trip. So I say that this character can still hang, and two schools of thought. Do I want to see it as a movie? Sure. If they have the right writers and so forth, it can probably go as, a couple of seasons on a show. And a lot of times I don't think that the networks, ABC, NBC, and all them would actually do something like that, even though they want to. There would be too many loopholes. We've gotten lucky with CW and how they handled it, right? CW probably could do something decent, or a streaming service. So that's where, what are your thoughts on this, Rod?
You know what? It's funny you went to CW, because I was going to say that CW has been a great foundation for a non-mutant and a non-powered individual having a superhero, lore, and was able to sustain that. And that's why the Arrow did well. Like, to me, the Arrow was well in the sense that this is basically, as we know, Ollie is basically the more, although in the show they definitely had him rugged and looking gully, but if that was because Ollie is the cleaner and the nicer version to Batman. So if that was that, imagine if the CW did, instead of Gotham, but they did an actual Batman, I'm Batman type of movie, a TV show. But all I'm saying is that with the Shadow could definitely work because we've seen examples of how a individual, a non-power hero, was able to conduct himself, learning how to network in a world where he wasn't supposed to be. He was not supposed to be a vigilante. Like any genre, they're gonna say a vigilante is hated. You go with JJJ. That Infinite Spider-Man. Curse you, vigilante! That kind of scenario. But that's Marvel. We'll come back to DC. So
Right.
we know in that sense that the Shadow was never loved by the public. But we knew that he had a good cause, that he basically was showing you how to work the system to get criminals brought to justice.
Yes.
I believe that it can be done. They will update it, give him of course the ability to use technology and whatever the case may be. But
Yeah.
he's a detective, and that's the great thing about it. We'll be able to focus on how this detective works, how his mind works, how he solve crimes, how he does what he has to do in an element of worlds where he's using his mind to defeat any criminal justice. To me, that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. See, and I agree with you there. So now here's where I've got two schools of thought, and I'll tell you this, and I've gotten some deep thoughts on this. Right on. And maybe not that deep. So yeah, come think, maybe not that deep. I'm not that
digging
deep.
Like, you know what? Let me put some dirt back.
Let me take some dirt out of the bag here and just throw it back there. Right. So, and here's my two things. So I'm gonna go, and I know usually we fan cast, and we're gonna fan cast this character, right? And I know it's just now, but I have two schools of thought. So as a Gemini, nothing surprising there. And Rod, you could go with it, or so. Here's my thought. So one, no matter what, as the Shadow, I would still like it to be set, not. Do you want to set the Shadow present day, or you want to set him more in the period that he was in? I would like to see him, call me a little bit nostalgic, old school. Let's go back and retro do it, like how they did Agent Carter. Right. How they did Agent Carter, like almost like a period piece. We know Peggy Carter has ties to the future with everything with Captain America, but I would like to see it as a period piece. Let's bring back the suits from back then, the car styles from back then, and then if you make it, you give them technology, maybe not smartphones, but you give them a little bit technology in some cases for who it is, a little bit more advanced than what it was for the time. That would still work. I would still like to see it. I wouldn't want to see him as a modern day hero smartphone. It could be done.
It can be done, but I think I agree with what you're saying, because I'm saying we could, like I said earlier, we could definitely put him up to time, but the Shadows, minus his only the Shadow knows and just mind tricks people. Yeah. His mind was his greatest weapon.
Yes.
So he will, it's like watching, Elementary or Sherlock Holmes now. Right. It's the mind, his mind is deducing everything. Right. But, it's a modern time. Let's make this that I agree with it. Let's put it at the time back in the 30s and the 40s, and given the timepiece that you realize, like, this man, all he had was his wits about him, be able to fisticuffed, and his wits, and be able to just get out of any type of scrap and be able to bring justice for all. That to me will be a perfect way that you now have to be creative. You could, again, writers, of course, we're in 2022. So of course you got today's mindset, but you now have a better understanding of what was going on at that time, that you can delve into it much more thoroughly, and have a better understanding of, okay, if this is the criminal empire going on, what would it be? Why would it be doing that? Why would that be affecting the city? Why would it affect and bother the Shadow? The Shadow will basically come in, here's my network of people.
Right.
Again, we have a movie, show that he's been here for a while. And again, show that, if you want to do in the first act, same way, you will see the parody of a Batman movie. It's going to be hard to not make make the parallel, but it's going to be there. But you know what? Yeah. Let it be there. Let it be there, because you're going to have to show and prove that, hey, how did I get this knowledge? How did I get this type of training? I had to go somewhere. I had to talk to certain people, get the wisdom from others on how to build myself to be the fighting machine that I am.
Yeah, exactly. See, so here's my whole vision. My whole vision is this. I want to delay. One, period piece. Just how we did Piggy Carter, or Agent Carter, I would say. No relation. How we did that, do it as a period piece. But I have to go a step further. I want it to be filmed a certain way. And what I mean by that is I wanted to convey that noir. Detective noir feeling. So it's got to be like in a black and white.
Sin City.
Yeah, it's got to be like a Sin City or almost like, Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
How they use more sepia, they would have to use a little bit more darker hues to make it, give it that feel, that proper feel. And I don't want it just part-time. I want every episode done that way. I know a lot of people are like, oh no, we're too used to color. Let's get back to really pushing the envelope with some of it. It would add more to the feel of it. I mean, it worked for Sin City. The spirit, it looked good, even though the movie was a different story. Right? So let's get with, it's either the colors got to be vibrant or they got to blend a certain way to give you that old school feel, give the setting of it, and then put people dressed a certain way. So that's one. Here's my two schools of thought. If they had to do another big budget picture, like a one and done or just doing a trilogy, then yes, I wanted to cover the classic Shadow. And if I had to pick an actor for that, I would go with Adrian Brody.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Right? He's got that physique already. He was Kylo Ren. He's got, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but he does have those strong features. He has the nose that is very reminiscent of how they draw the Shadow. Adrian can play the suave, cool guy, and he's got the acting chops, and he can be physical, and he's got that it factor that holds people's eyes. So could I see him playing the Shadow? Absolutely. In a big budget movie, I would go there, right? 100%, because I think he would bring enough to the role to do it. And you could still bring it up to date. So you can start off the first one in the 30s, so to speak, bring him up maybe at a certain point in his career. And I know there's another comic book, and it was called like Children of the Shadow, or where it's almost like his kids, but you find out, like, I think it's him coming back later on in a clone body up. And, I have to really go, and I remember it vaguely.
Okay.
So you could tie that into that being the spinoff if you wanted to go that way, depending how it does. Now, if it had to go, let's say like a TV show, streaming service, or like CW, or even maybe someone else will step up to the plate. Maybe NBC, ABC, CBS would step up to the plate and say, hey, we see what's going over there. We got to step up our game as competition. Let us do the Shadow. Okay, for depending who has the rights, then fine, do it as a TV drama, but let's get someone that will definitely do it justice on TV. And I'm not saying he can't do movies. Don't get me wrong, because he's done it before. I said it before. I'll say it again. John Hamm. I know I've used him before, but John Hamm in Suits, he already understands the period. He's got the look. He's already been in, action kind of roles, even though they're comedies. He can play that playboy-ish, that's really hard for me to get down. Like, I mean, it's either Adrian Brody or John Hamm. It's one of the two. If you see each of their work, I think those are the two best shots right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can't say who I'd prefer over the other. So even if I know Adrian Brody won't do TV, right? But John Hamm has done TV. So depending on how it gets picked up as a treatment, if it was TV, then you got a better chance with John, even though he's kind of moved on to movies. If it's going to be something as a movie, then you got John Hamm, but then you got Adrian Brody that's still in the mix. That would still make a strong case for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's a good one. Like, you know what? I hear what you're saying, because it's interesting. I'm saying it's interesting that you picked John, because John was my pick as well. John was my pick as well. And you brought practically the same points. I would even just go even from when he did Mad Men.
Yes.
Now that was
Mad Men. That's what I was thinking of. Sorry, my apologies.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Right. Mad Men.
Yes.
So when he did that, I mean, again, that was a timepiece for the 60s, or 50s. So 50s or 60s. So basically, it was just, again, you just got to do 20 years earlier. But he's done timepiece type of characters, and to have that nonchalant type of playboy type of, you know, prestige, not arrogance, but just have like the prestige of just saying like, I am. I'm walking into the room, people. Remember who I am.
Yeah.
I am the guy. I am the guy. As a character for his own self, but realizing that, you know, that's just like Bruce and Batman, you know, his life is basically his mask and the shadow is who he really is.
Exactly. Right. And I'll even take it that step further, right? With John Hamm, what I like is if you watch his commercials for Skip the Dishes, where it's him and his assistant Brandon. Okay. Okay.
Friggin' hilarious.
Okay. So, right, that's him as playing the Playboy. And I would even go so far as even to have that actor who plays Brandon in Skip the Dishes in with John Hamm as his trusted aide. If you want marketing right there, hear me.
Beautiful.
Skip the Dishes has the perfect pairing for one of his assistants, make him his trusted aide, the one that he saves. You can make him a little bit younger, and that's the guy that helps him out a lot, you know, and that's your one of your agents that can come in there.
Mm-hmm.
John Hamm, I don't know that actor's name who plays Brandon in Skip the Dishes commercials. I will, you know, hashtag it when I put up the video. There we go. And the fact that all that is like, oh yeah, that's the same too from this, and now doing, oh wow.
We're already accustomed. We're already accustomed, and we already like that pairing. That's already a beautiful pairing of those two.
And they have chemistry together.
They have great chemistry. So to have them together for that, no, I completely agree with you. That would be a great setup right there.
Right. Now, we're not endorsed by Skip the Dishes, but hey, if they want to throw us a gift card, thank you. We ain't going to say no.
I ain't going to argue. I'm not going to argue.
We got families to feed. Thank you. So, yeah, man, that's my 2 cents about it there.
Yeah.
Any ending thoughts there on that, Rod?
You know what? Listen, he as well, because he does the narration. Sometimes he narrates for Legion. John Hamm is also doing narrating for Legion, so he would have that ability to, like, you know, what lurks in the hearts of men. You know, he just have that type of narrating type of voice. So he, again, voice actor as well. So he can do that. So I honestly believe that John would be a good pick for me as well. And the Shadow. Listen, you know how everybody, you know how we always love to find different characters to bring to the light. Not even say back to the light, but just reminding people of certain characters. The Shadow is a character that could easily pique some people's interest and get them to realize, like, oh, we need to watch this more, and it will build a following. I'll say for myself that the 1994 Alex Baldwin version, listen, to me, it's a timepiece in itself.
Right.
At the time, it was great. It's still great now for me to watch because I can know going in what to expect.
Yeah, I get you. And just to come back for half a second, so the actor from Skip the Dishes who plays Brandon, I just was looking him up.
You figured out. Got
it. His name is Monte Gear.
Okay.
Right. So Monte Gear, you know, Geer. That's who plays Brandon in Skip the Dishes, and that is who he's an actor and comedian. So I got to look up more into him, but he's the guy who plays it. He should come in there with John Hamm. All right, let's give it to him. You know, the two of them, and let them do the Shadow of him as one of his trusted assistants. They've got the chemistry already. You know, They don't have to play it so cartoonish, of course, because it's gonna be more of a serious movie. And voila. And on that note, I would say also, like, I'll even go further. I watched a TV series there called Taboo with Tom Hardy, right? It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Right. It has 8 episodes, about an hour each. And it was, you know, Tom Hardy who plays Venom. But the writing on that, whoever, one of the writers on that show is Tom Hardy's dad, Chip Hardy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's a novelist. And it has, you know, I'm going to look this up here. So he's the novelist. And then the other guy that helped like flesh it out was also the same writer from Peaky Blinders. So the two of them work together to do Taboo. And if you watch Taboo with how Tom Hardy plays a certain part of it, that when he gets serious and he's going out for revenge and he's trying to deal with people, wow, okay, they get it. And they do little bits of magic here and there. You get that writing team together. So see, any studio that's listening to the Iconis podcast, or if anyone out there, you owe us credit. Yes, right. We want to be on set for the interviews. We want to be flowing out there. We want to thank you, Basket. And we also want some Skip the Dishes cards, plural. You get that team, right? I'm going to look it up here right now, because it's just coming to me. And that wasn't what my thought was overall. So I'm going to tell you right now. So my apologies. It was written by Stephen Knight. So Stephen Knight is the writer of Taboo, who also does Peaky Blinders.
Okay.
Then it has Tom Hardy in it. And then, of course, Tom Hardy's dad, who's a novelist, Chip Hardy, is also a part of this. So what we need is we definitely need Stephen Knight to do a treatment for The Shadow with John Hamm and Monte Greer in there. Period piece, filmed. And it's got to be, colorized a certain way to get that like a sepia black and white feel to it. Right on. CW, you're welcome. ABC, CBS, NBC, Netflix, Amazon, streaming service, HBO Max, whoever's got the property right now, you're welcome. We've just pretty much given you all the people that you need to contact to make this happen. And then, of course, there's a trailer. It's got to be there. And Barry Carter needs a trailer. Roderick Carter needs a trailer. Just so we can all help promote each other. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Good looking out. Good looking out.
On that note, thank you everyone for tuning in. This has been the Iconis podcast. Like usual, I'm here with my cousin DJ who?
Rod C. Hey, that's me. Hey.
Right on. And even though the shadow might know the evil that lurks in men's hearts, we always say this whole world was created by a pencil, a piece of paper, and imagination. Keep on dreaming. I'm out.
My people.
Can't see
Shadow.
me. Can't see me. Can't see me like John Cena.
Let's go. Out.